It's tough to think of any Hollywood actor who's had more of a raw deal than Brendan Fraser over the years. The guy was one of the biggest up-and-coming stars of the 90s and early 2000s, with a string of hit movies under his belt and a natural flair for comedy and action that served him well in movies like The Mummy and George of the Jungle. But unfortunately for him, an unsavoury encounter with a sleazy Hollywood executive saw him getting blacklisted from top-level productions, resulting in a string of flops that killed his box office momentum. An expensive divorce settlement added to his financial problems, forcing him to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that he couldn't afford. And if that wasn't bad enough, years of doing his own stunt work finally caught up with him, resulting in crippling back problems that required extensive surgery to correct. Basically, Brendan kinda got fucked over by both life and Hollywood, and it seemed like he was destined to become just another cautionary tale about the pursuit of fame, another hopeful young actor who got chewed up and spat out by the Hollywood machine. But if there's one thing that people love, it's a good comeback story, and truly, Brendan Fraser's comeback has been nothing short of inspirational. A string of successful TV appearances in the late 2010s began to re-establish him as a viable actor, public interest began to increase, and people began talking about the Renaissance. And it all culminated in his Oscar-winning role in The Whale, Darren Aronofsky's psychological drama about a morbidly obese English tutor trying to reconnect with his estranged daughter in the final days of his life. It doesn't exactly sound like an inspiring setup for a movie, but holy shit, it's proof that the right actor can absolutely make or break a film, elevating what could be a fairly pedestrian bit of pity porn into something genuinely special and moving. It's a film that I have to admit I only got around to watching a few days ago, but I'm very glad that I finally did, and I knew that I just had to talk about it, so here goes. The Whale stars Fraser as Charlie, a massively overweight and reclusive English tutor who teaches online courses from his ramshackle apartment, always making sure to keep his webcam off. He's divorced and basically housebound now, and his only real interactions are with his carer Liz and a pizza delivery guy that he never actually meets face to face. And straight away, the film makes no attempt to glamorise Charlie's life in the slightest. The very first time we see him, he's in his chair having a good old chug to some porn on his laptop. Unfortunately, his years of compulsive eating are catching up with him, he's suffering from heart failure and he knows he doesn't have long left to live. Liz wants him to go to hospital, but he keeps refusing with the excuse that he can't afford the medical bills. Instead, he manages to coax his estranged daughter to spend time with him, bribing her with the promise of his life savings after he's gone. Needless to say, their interactions don't go well at first. She's angry and embittered with him for abandoning her, disgusted by his physical appearance, and basically suffers through their meetings so that she can get his money at the ends. But the more time they spend together, the more she slowly begins to open up about the grief and hurt that she feels towards him, and the more we learn about Charlie's own past. He left his marriage to start a relationship with one of his students, and when the guy eventually took his own life, it started him on a self-destructive spiral of obsessive overeating that's slowly killing him now. And when the truth of his hidden money that he's been using to bribe his daughter comes to light, it threatens to tear apart what little life he has left. As a storyteller, Darren Aronofsky's got a bit of a thing for flawed and self-destructive characters locked into an addictive relationship with the very thing that's ruining their lives. Whether it's Requiem for a Dream dealing with drugs and vanity, or the wrestler pushing himself to breaking point rather than let go of the past and move on to a new stage in life, or Black Swan driving its main character into a spiral of madness and obsession, they all tackle the self-destructive nature of what it means to be human. But I don't think it's ever been hammered home quite as forcefully as The Whale. Charlie is an absolutely pitiful character, a broken man caught in an escalating spiral of shame, addiction and self-loathing, unable or unwilling to change his ways, and refusing help from everyone who tries to save him from himself. Whether it's Liz who tries to help him out as a friend and a nurse, or an idealistic missionary out to save his soul, or even his ex-wife who still has some shred of love and compassion towards him. The more the film progresses, the more his condition slowly deteriorates as he loses the ability to walk, stand up, or even breathe unaided, and the more desperate he becomes to redeem himself in his daughter's eyes. And their interactions form the dramatic heart of the story. He's a dying man trying to reconnect with the daughter he hasn't seen in years, a bad father trying to atone for past mistakes, a flawed human being at the end of a life not particularly well lived, trying to get just one thing right before he goes. A different movie would have developed a more conventional, saccharine kind of relationship between them, the initial wariness and distrust giving way to companionship, love and mutual understanding. But what's interesting about The Whale is that it never really happens that way. Ellie's angry, cruel and spiteful throughout most of the movie, making no secret of the fact that she hates him and just wants him to die so that she can inherit his money. She's not some compassionate angel who just wants to help him out. She's a hard and abrasive character, and she ended up that way because of Charlie's actions. And probably the closest they come to reconnecting is a big emotional blowout where she finally drops the facade and lets out all her pent up anger and hurt towards him. It's an awesome performance from actress Sadie Sink, who really puts everything she has into the role. Yeah, you could probably argue that it's pretty similar to Max from Stranger Things, but what the hell? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. But by far the best aspect of The Whale is Brendan Fraser himself, who delivers the best work of his entire career with this one. And fair play to the guy for taking on a challenging and risky part like this. The whole thing could have gone horribly wrong in the hands of a different actor, but Fraser absolutely sells every single moment as Charlie. From his submissive apologies to Liz as she fights a losing battle to help him, to his painful admissions of his own shortcomings as a husband and father, to his defiant defense of the love that he once shared in the face of religious prejudice, it's all great stuff that absolutely captivates your attention. And make no mistake, this isn't a glamorous role for any actor. Watching his physical deterioration throughout the movie is almost painful at times. His disgusting binge eating will be enough to put you off the very concept of food, and the moments where he comes face to face with the reality of what he's become are both sobering and tragic. And big props to the makeup department here. If you didn't know what the actor looked like beforehand, you'd swear he really was this big. The Whale copped a lot of flack over its depiction of obesity and binge eating, and there's even some assholes on social media who got mad that they didn't cast an actual £600 actor for the main role, in a movie where the protagonist is literally dying because of how big he is. This is why we can't have nice things, ladies and gentlemen. But the thing is though, people like that are really missing the point of the film. It's not a story about obesity specifically. Charlie could just as easily be addicted to drugs or alcohol or anything else that can slowly destroy you. It's a movie about self-destruction, mistakes, regrets, grief and a search for redemption. It's not exactly a fun or uplifting experience, and by the end you'll be feeling almost as claustrophobic as the protagonist, but it's definitely a compelling and thought-provoking movie that landed its main character a well-deserved Oscar win. And if you haven't got a chance to see it yet, then The Drinker highly recommends you give The Whale a couple of hours of your time. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.